Well, I think this is about all we're going to have for today. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of too many more people coming. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name's Billy Burt, not Billy Butts like they had signed. But I've been a lifelong angler. I've fished for years. It started out with just fishing with my dad and my grandpa, then taking me out on the boat, taking me to shore, things like that. Bobber fishing for bluegill, crappie, whatever would bite. A couple years back, I really started getting heavy into fishing. How many of us have been bullied in school? Any of us? I know we got a couple younger guys, but I was bullied big time in school. And that's what got me into fishing. I never had a whole lot of friends. Never got to hang out with anybody. Never was invited to parties, not even birthday parties most of the time. So one day, I got home from school. I was bored. I was lonely. I grabbed a rod and decided, let's go to the lakes. I started out small, 1-aught worm hook. Put a split shot about 6 inches up the line. Dug around in my garage for something that looked like a fish and found these. These are flukes. One of my favorite colors of them, and I used to fish them a lot. Baby bass. It's an excellent color. It mimics a lot of different bait fish in the water, especially in clear water. It's perfect. It looks just like a minnow most of the time. It's one of the easiest rigs to fish. It's something that I had kind of designed myself, not really knowing what I was doing. Just put that bait about 1/4 of an inch on that hook. Pull that hook through, push the bait all the way up the hook, rotate the hook, push the hook point into the stomach. It's just a small little rig, something that works well for feeding fish. This rig is actually something a lot of anglers will tell you not to do. It's got a split shot on the line, which is supposed to ruin the action of the fluke when it sinks. But I found it to work very well for finicky fish. It would drop all the way to the bottom, allow that bait to float for a few seconds until it slowly dove down into the bottom of the water and rested. Turned out, it was one of the best actions to ever mimic a dying bait fish, looking like a bait fish having a heart attack after being chased. That day, I had to have caught around 15 small bass, and from there I was hooked. I watch a lot of people on YouTube, I watch a lot of people on Instagram, on Facebook, and I realized something. There's a lot of people out here talking to older anglers, but there's nothing for our younger guys out here trying to learn how to fish. I see way too many kids sitting in front of a TV screen or sitting in front of a video game instead of outside in 70-degree weather. It's gorgeous out. Why is everybody cooped up? And so I want to change something. I want to get kids back outside. I want to get them in front of this lake, and I want to gain respect back for nature that we have lost. Did you know in the next 50 years, if we continue the path we have with pollution, we're going to lose about 50% of all water? Fish aren't going to be able to inhabit it, and it's going to be full of nothing but disgusting muck, garbage, and very, very dangerous bacteria. How many adults here remember when E. coli got huge? Our ecosystem is going to be full of it if we continue what we do. And that's not just from humans, but it's just because of the garbage we're throwing out is decomposing and housing. If we can get the younger generation to realize the issue we have at hand, we can change the course of this planet and make it beautiful. One thing I do want to challenge every angler here, no matter young or old, get something called a go-to bait. By the end of the season, I want everybody in here to have a go-to bait. What a go-to bait is some kind of bait, no matter what the weather is, no matter what lake you're fishing, no matter what the conditions are, you have tied on in your boat. Or even if you're on shore, you have it on a rod. For me, that's a wacky rig. One of the easiest rigs to tie up. Take a small circle hook, make it one of those small ones. Some kind of Senko style bait. For me, it's a trick worm that I love. Rig it. That through the center. And that's it. It's an easy rig to fish. Find a spot you feel comfortable throwing it. Let some line out. Pitch it in the area. Raise the rod tip up. Let the bait sink back down. The bait does all the action for you. All you have to do is watch your line. When that line stops moving and you know you're not on the bottom, more than likely a fish has got it in its mouth. You can fish it with a couple different rigs. A few of my favorite ways to fish it: Senko style bait, like I said before. Some kind of pointed tailed bait. And like I showed a trick work. I'll pass these around. You guys can open them up, look at them, feel them. What's really nice about this rig as well, fish are sitting on the bottom. Take your rig, take a small nail or screw, push it into the head of the bait. The rig will sit just like that in the water. You'll get a little more tail action, but that head will be down. It'll sit on the bottom of the water. And as long as you're hopping it off the bottom and keeping that bait moving, it will catch you fish anywhere. It's an easy rig to get started on. Something really easy to throw on spinning gear like a lot of younger anglers use. It's perfect to catch fish in any condition. Another rig I absolutely love to throw, and it's super easy to fish. It's called a do nothing rig. All it is, straight hook on your line. Don't need any fancy gear, don't need any fancy weights, don't need anything but a hook. Nail right there. Take your bait of choice. Push that bait about 1/4 of an inch through. Rig it all the way up your hook. Turn that hook. Push it into the bottom of the bait. Make sure that bait is just a bit twisted. That is key to keeping the action of this rig. But what that will allow is water to push over that bait and not only spin a tail if it's got a tail, but it'll get the bait to spin as well in the water. You can use really anything you feel comfortable throwing on a Texas rig or any other rig for this bait. I've seen people throw minnows in it. I've seen people throw live worms on it. Personally, I like to throw all three of those baits that are being passed around right now, those slim sticks, ditty sticks, and trick worms. And on top of it, 4-inch lizards. It's something small and subtle. It's something that works great in the spawn, because small lizards like salamanders will actually attack at the eggs of bass when they're bedded. So not only will bass try to take this bait and move it off their beds, but they'll actually hit it to kill it. Most bait, if you throw it on a bed or near a bed, the male or female bass will just pick it up and move it. But the lizard is something completely different, key to catching big fish when they're on their beds. I'm going to go ahead and pass this around. You guys are welcome to look at them, feel them. This do nothing rig is incredible for anybody starting out fishing, anybody who's never bass fished before. Like I said, all you have to do is cast it out and reel it in. How many people in here have ever thrown a spinnerbait? Throw it just like you're throwing a spinnerbait. You're going to catch fish. If you want, you can get fancy with it. You can jerk it, which will have that bait twist in the water, and then kind of stop and start to sink. If you're doing that, and a bass is chasing, it'll give that time for the bass to catch up, jump on the lure, and catch you another fish. But one of the other easy ways to throw it is a stop and go retrieve. All you have to do is reel it, stop reeling at times, and then reel it back again. If a bass is chasing it, they're going to see that bait stop. They're going to think it had a heart attack, because that's what often happens with bait fish and minnows. And when that bait stops, it gives that fish a chance to run up and grab it. A lot of times when you fish that stop and go, you're going to get struck when that bait hits the bottom of the water. So when you stop, you want to make sure you give it enough time for that bait to sink all the way down. You can use any size hooks. You can use any size of baits. All depends on personal preference. Personally, I like to use a 3/0 hook, which I was showing earlier here with this bigger bait. What that allows it to do is sit farther back on the bait, so when you do have a smaller fish come up and grab that bait, you're more than likely to hook that smaller fish in general, because that hook is so far back. It allows for them to grab it. Final rig I want to talk about today is a rig you cannot fish wrong. It's a rig that's talked about a lot, and a lot of people overlook it when fishing. That rig is just a simple drop shot. This rig is built to keep your bait just off the bottom of the water. A lot of people raise their hooks to be about 6 inches on their line, so it's sitting a little farther up, about where my fingers are standing, but I keep mine at about 3 inches. What this allows is for that hook to sit in front of the mouth of fish and dangle in the strike zone much longer than any fit bait that's rigged about 6 inches or 8 inches. All you're going to do is tie a heavy sinker on the bottom, use a Palomar knot to tie a circle hook on the top, take any drop shot bait, rig it by pushing that hook through the nose. That blade will sit about like that in the water. A lot of drop shot baits are made to float, so that tail will stick up just a little bit. What it looks like is something trying to feed off the bottom of the water or trying to escape a fish. This is something that's really simple to fish. All you're going to do is drop your line down and just barely move your rod set. In the water, that bait's going to be floating. Like I said, most drop shot baits are made to float. That tail's going to be flicking up and down. It's going to mimic something feeding or trying to escape, and most bass are going to hit it as soon as that bait stops moving in the water. A really nice trick to any of you guys who fish a lot of structure on a drop shot, and this is actually something I didn't want to talk about today. It's something I like to keep to myself. If you take a drop shot, rig it pretty much the same way. Weight on the bottom, hook about 3 inches up. If you use a 1/0 worm hook, you can make it weedless and come through structure a lot easier. This is something that my dad has been fishing for, gotta say, about 20 years. He's fished it way before I was born, so I know it's probably actually longer than that. But a lot of anglers and the BASS and the FLW are becoming aware of this rig. I remember hearing at the Kokomo show that Mark Zona talked about it for a little while. And I was a little upset that he said he came up with that idea because, like I said, I've been seeing a guy fish it for a lot longer than that. Again, bait sits just like a drop shot, except that hook's buried. You're less likely to hang up on structure. You're less likely to grab grass and muck and garbage in the water. I've changed it a little bit more than a lot of people have. I keep my hook sideways when it's tied. This will allow that hook point to never face up in the water, and that's going to allow you to come through brush piles without having that hook stick out a little bit and grab onto something. You're going to be able to fish dock points a lot easier. You're going to be able to fish trees a lot easier, and you're going to come through a lot more structure. Like I said, that bait is something you cannot fish wrong. Anytime you see someone fish a drop shot a different way than you're fishing it, pay attention, because it might be something just a bit different that catches a lot more fish than you'd ever think. Never be afraid to do something different or do something someone has told you not to do. Because in fishing, some of the best ideas have come from someone who decided to be different. Bass fishing anymore is all about finding a different rig that people haven't fished yet, or finding something completely new to the industry. You might come up with the next best rig. How many fishermen in here have heard of the Texas rig? That's something someone had to come up with, and it's become a staple in our industry. So next time someone says, don't do that, try it. You never know. Something huge that I didn't really cover on the drop shot is make sure when you're fishing it, cover specific areas. You're going to hear a lot of people talk about they fish in a lot of open water, but some of the best fishing you can do on a drop shot is off poles, fallen trees, stumps, rocks, anything sticking up out of the water. A lot of fish are going to congregate there. Bait fish and bluegill are going to come up and eat the algae, which is going to attract the bass to come feed. So if you can get a bait to sit on that pole looking like it's eating the algae, more than likely you're going to get bit because the bass is going to be sitting there waiting to see that. I want to talk a little bit about structure and things to look for. Can I get a volunteer? Come on up. See that real quick? I'm going to put this right here. Can you do me a favor and lay on the floor with your arms and legs out? Mom, Dad, I want to let you know, whoever's here with them, no, there's not a hook on this. Who is his parents?
Oh, I'm his grandmother.
Grandmother. Here's what I'm throwing. There's no hooks on it. Just wanted to let you know. Okay. So.
He's been hooked by a hook before on his finger, so he'll catch it if it is.
Let's take a moment here, use our imaginations. A lot of us have some wild imagination. We're all fishermen. We all make up stories. Let's be honest here. Let's pretend he's a tree. You've got a split at the bottom like it's forked out. You've got branches over here, and his fingers are the ends of branches. If you're fishing from shore, one of the worst things you can do is walk up to him. If you walk up to a tree, you're going to shake it, and every fish sitting on there is going to run. You're going to want to stay somewhat far back, and I would suggest starting with the fork. You're going to take whatever you're fishing, probably your go-to, like I said, mine is the wacky rig, and you're going to drop it right there at the fork. Make sure to fish up the middle of the fork. 99% of big fish are going to be sitting at that fork right in the middle, waiting for someone to come along and hide under there. They're going to see your bait coming forward and smash it. Most of the time when I fish a tree, the first fish I catch is right at the fork. If it's not at the fork, I'm going to move up the sides. Come up to the far sides of the fork, all the way up on one end. If I don't get bit, I'm going to go to the other side. Jig whatever I'm fishing, again, along that side. A lot of times you're not going to find many fish on the trunk itself, but it never hurts to fish it. If you're in a crunch for time in a tournament or something like that, if I was you, I'd skip it. But if you're just out fishing for fun, don't be afraid to fish it. The next big key point is going to be the very, very, very far ends of the branches. A lot of bluegill are going to be hiding up in between it. You're going to get a lot of minnows, a lot of shad that are all congregating up there. Bass are going to be sitting a little farther back. So take whatever you're fishing and drop it right there at the end of the branch and jig it away from the branch. A lot of the bass are going to be sitting farther away from that branch and you're going to get bit. Again, fish both sides, don't be afraid. And the last very, very important part of it is the farthest point that is still sitting in the water. The biggest fish that sit on a tree are going to be the biggest ones sitting right up on the edges. That little bit of water that's barely there touching it is going to hold something. And I guarantee that'd be a big bluegill, a big crappie, or a big largemouth. So don't be afraid to drop it right till it touches the water. All right, buddy, you're good. Can I get one more volunteer?
You get your bait.
Next thing I want to talk about is fishing a dock. So can you go ahead and get on your hands and knees for me? Put your hands out a little bit over here. There you go. So again, I'm going to talk a little bit about shore fishing. I know a lot of the younger kids over here are not going to be fishing out of a boat. They're not going to be able to control one. So more than likely you're going to be fishing from shore. Again, you don't walk up to the dock. Don't stand on the dock before you fish it because you're going to spook away almost every fish sitting there. Start opposite the way you started the tree. Start at the very back. Put whatever you're fishing at each post in the back. A lot of fish are going to be congregating on the posts, waiting for a bluegill, waiting for a shad to come up and try eating on the algae. As soon as the bluegill or shad come up there, they're going to go eat it. So if you start at the back with whatever you're fishing, bass are going to come and attack you. After you finish under the back, try to get under the dock. If it's hot out, if the sun's shining, bass are just like us. They're going to be looking for shade. They're going to be looking for somewhere cool. So when the sun's shining and out there, if you can get under there, you're going to find a predator. You're going to find something willing to eat. Finally, what you're going to want to end with is fishing the front posts. Again, just like the back, fish are going to be congregating there to feed. Predators are going to come up trying to eat those bait fish. So if you can get up right on those posts, you're going to try to trigger a fish to strike. You're good, buddy. Last thing I want to talk about today is look for something different in the industry that people really haven't fished before. Again, this is something I took a really long time to throw out and talk about. I'm going to pass these around. These are called zip tails. What they are? It's a small skirt, like on a jig, like on a spinnerbait, like on a rooster tail, but they're built for soft plastics. They give a lot of movement in the water, especially when that bait's at rest. If it's got something shining in it, like a flake, it's going to reflect sunlight. It's going to be getting fish's attention. And it's something a lot of anglers don't even know about. I know on my Instagram I do a lot of promoting for my sponsors, but I don't ever talk about this on my Instagram because it's something different in the industry that people don't see often. It's the only place I've ever found that built something like this, and I don't want to tell people about it, to be completely honest. It's something I want to keep to myself and keep secret. That way when I go out fishing with people, I can outfish them, and they won't know why. So, if I was here, don't be telling your fishing buddies about this. Keep this guy to yourself. With that, all you do is slide it all the way up your hook and grab your bait just like you normally would. It's something subtle. It's not something that's huge change to it. It's just something a little different the fish you haven't seen before. And I encourage you to find something like your own zip tail. Find something that's different. Find some kind of designer who can make his own baits, who can make his own colors, and use colors that have been built before. Use something different. It's something that will trigger you more strikes than anything else. And most importantly, always have confidence in what you're fishing. If you are not confident in what you were fishing, you're not going to catch fish with it. You're going to be thinking about your next cast. You're going to be thinking about your next spot, not what's going on now. I know fishing tournaments, I've missed hundreds of fish because I wasn't thinking about what I was doing at that moment. I know I've gotten strikes that I didn't feel because I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. You have to constantly be paying attention to what you're doing. Watch your line, feel for everything you can, whether it be a piece of grass or a fish on your line. If you're concentrating on what you're doing now, you're going to feel the subtlest strikes that you would never feel if you weren't paying attention. I know I talked a little bit about conservation earlier, talking about keeping the planet clean, talking about respecting the environment. So can I ask everybody in here to raise your right arm and say a pledge with me? Everybody repeat after me. I will always clean up all my garbage and my used tackle and throw it in the appropriate bin. If I find trash while I'm fishing, I will always pick it up and throw it away. Thank you guys. I know I kept this kind of short. I didn't want to bore too many of you out here. Parents, I know your kids get a little riled up, a little excited, want to walk around and explore more of the show. I'm going to be with Big Diddy Baits all day, so if you have any questions, you can go there and talk to them. But does anybody have any questions now that they want to ask in front of everyone?
No, but thank you.
Thank you guys so much for coming out and seeing me.